You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
All right, Mason, we didn't talk about this much before we started, but we're not doing any editing on this, okay? We're just going to keep running. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So I'm not putting any music in. I'm not doing anything, okay? I think this is only our fourth review of Raw so far this year, and we're going to do it in the style of good cop, bad cop, okay? Sound good to you?
Yep.
All right, okay. So go ahead. Give us your good cop moments then from Monday Night Raw from, I think they were both at Madison Square Gardens, actually, right?
Okay, so one of my good cop moments was AJ. He sold the stunner really well, and then later, at the end, near the end of the show, he sold the lumbar check very well too.
I only have two good cop moments in case you missed them, and that's the first one I had written down. I thought that was fantastic.
And so I really like the four horsewomen fighting each other. So I was expecting a great match, and I got it. Because they're the four horsewomen of NXT, right?
Now, you mentioned that you had that as a good cop, and I wasn't surprised that you had that. And then I told you I have it as a bad cop, and you were like, what? All right, do you want to know or do you want to wait?
I want to know.
All right, why would you have something as important as that and not put it on a pay-per-view? Why would you do that on a regular Monday Night Raw? Whatever they have, because they have Clash of Champions coming up this weekend. I can't imagine they have a tag team match involving women that's going to be anywhere near as exciting as that. Why? To me, that's WrestleMania worthy. Or that's one of the big four. They put it on a regular Monday Night Raw. Now, great for watching it. I got no problems with it. I totally understand why you picked it as a good cop moment. Well, I don't know why you wouldn't save that, though. Or at least build up to it. Like, have them fighting and then not quite have a proper match, and then you have it on the pay-per-view itself. I thought that was strange. Unless that means, though, they have something even better prepared for us. And if it does, then, whew, that's my best cop moment prepared at some point.
Like, I think they could put a spin to it, like a no disqualifications or a Hell in a Cell or something like that.
I'd be all for that. I like the sound of that. All right, what else you got?
Yes, that was my last good cop moment.
Wow, you did like old style MGB. You just had your top three moments. All right, what have I got? Bad cop. The OC having to play a part in the AJ and Cedric thing. But, yeah, I didn't know what the point of that was. I was like, AJ can't cope with, like, Cedric by himself. Good cop moment, though. I put the Viking team. I can't even remember what their name is anymore. Is it Viking Warriors, Raiders,
Viking
War Machine?
Experience?
I don't even know what they're called anymore. I'm just calling them the Viking team. I should just call them Minnesota from
I thought
now
it was
on.
the Experience.
Oh, I don't even know. That's one of their finishing moves. It probably is. They're actually facing a team I've actually heard of. That was a bonus good cop moment. Multiple weeks in a row, they faced nobody. Or nobody you've heard of. They're like, oh, here's some local talent. So I thought that was nice that finally they fought somebody who was good, as in the OC. Bad cop moment, the Big C. Cancer. But great that Roman Reigns played his part with those kids. I saw somebody online said he was almost crying watching that scene. I think it was good that I think they needed to revisit that. They haven't really talked much about Roman before, and obviously it's a very negative experience, but I'm liking that they could get something out. I thought it was cool those kids coming out as wrestlers, but yeah, bad cop moment for Cancer in general. I didn't like Rey Mysterio and Grand Metalik. Not that I didn't like the match, but I thought that should have been on 205. I didn't think it was really a Raw match. Grand Metalik I definitely think is a 205 liver. I know he normally comes up with Lucha House Party. Can you imagine Rey on 205 Live? That would really give 205 Live a bump. I thought they could have booked that a little bit better. And bad cop, the fact they needed Stone Cold needed to come out at the end of the show. I don't know why. It didn't seem to do anything. Yeah. Like, it was nothing to do with that match at all. I know why they brought him out, because he got a huge pop, and he could throw the beers around and all that stuff. I think it's a shame that they don't have any big stars, and they have to still rely on Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I got one good cop moment. I know it wasn't on there, but I saw it on YouTube. Drake Maverick was walking around New York for 5 minutes. They had a 5-minute clip. I don't know if they showed it on the whole show, because we only watch highlights. Basically handing out flyers. Have you seen R-Truth? And people are just... I don't know if everyone knew who he was, or they obviously saw a film crew filming it all. But yeah, he was like on the subway. He was on Ellis Island. He was near the Statue of Liberty. He was gonna go up the Empire State Building and was like, ooh, that's too high, I'm not doing that. So he was like all over New York. It's kind of like a little touristy thing. I thought it was kind of fun. I like that whole battle with that championship right now, and I'm glad they're still keeping that story going. But I thought New York was like the perfect place to do that. All right, then we moved on to SmackDown on Tuesday, which I think again was from Madison Square Garden, as far as I can remember anyway. I watched this at like 6 o'clock this morning, so actually it was about 5:30, so I was really tired, but I'd certainly have some moments. Alright, go ahead. What have you got for good cop moments for this one?
So I have a dangerous cop moment.
Dangerous cop, okay.
So Undertaker, he usually puts his hand below the person during a choke slam, but instead he put it on his hat so it wouldn't fall, so it was a complete choke, bringing him up.
I don't care if you choke, but I don't want your hat to fall off. That does seem a little dangerous. I didn't notice that, actually.
Yeah. And, like, so it would have been really cool when Rowan, he pushed the big, like, football camera, you know, that type of thing. When he pushed it into Roman Reigns, if they would have switched that camera on.
Oh, God, that would have been really cool. Oh, that's definitely the bad cop moment. They could have definitely made more of that. I know what you're thinking, and I was going to write something down about that, and I couldn't remember what it was called either. I was thinking, like, the swingy camera, and I don't know what it's called, but I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
And that was it for my...
So, alright, so let me ask you then, what did you think of Raw then this week?
I thought it was pretty good compared to the last one.
Okay, compared to your M3. Now, I had quite a few bad cop moments, but I actually thought it was really good as well. I really liked it as well. I thought most of it was... The last couple of weeks, I think, have been really, really good. So, what about Smackdown then? Because you had two moments this time, and one of them was Dangerous Cop. It wasn't
as good.
I would agree. I didn't think it was as good, but I still thought it was a lot better than what some of the recent ones have been. I'm still excited now, actually. When I was switching them on for a few weeks, it was like, oh, I'm watching it because I know I'm going to be reviewing it, but I wasn't. Now I'm kind of interested to see. The thing that laid as a bad cop over this one was 5 minutes ago had already said, Elias is injured. Cue Shane McMahon's music. I was like, oh gosh, please no. He wasn't on last week, which was great. So I'm like, oh, please do not do that, or else that's going to be my worst cop moment. Anyway, bad cop moment. Once again, over-reliance on big stars. So I talked about how Stone Cold was on. The Undertaker on this one. Why? I didn't see why. I know it was Madison Square Gardens, but that was it. I think they just brought him on because it was The Undertaker. But we only went to Extreme Rules because Undertaker was there. So I understand why people do it, but once again, they don't have any big stars right now. Roman Reigns is a star, but he doesn't have that same pull that Stone Cold has, Undertaker has, Kurt Angle when he was on to a degree as well. If you had The Rock come out, they're obviously much bigger names, so I think that's a problem.
So during in my gym, in my middle school, they have a big Rock poster, and it says "Got Milk," and it's like... Milk has...
He's got his milk mustache?
Yeah. And then it has like this little sentence, and then there's a Ravens player and a baseball player, which I don't know.
I'm trying to think who the Ravens player would
27.
be. I should know, and I'm struggling to think who it would. Actually, 27 sounds like Ray Rice, but I don't think they would have picked him. I was thinking of the person whose statue's outside the defenseman, and I can't think what his name is right now. Yeah, that was a famous campaign in the early 2000s, the got milk, and then the person drinks it, and they have the milk mustache there. But yeah. Bad cop moment. Miz wins ahead of his match. Wins ahead of his match against Nakamura. Why? Because it was too obvious. You already announced ringside that it's going to be Miz versus Nakamura. So you know Miz is going to win, because otherwise why would you weaken him before that match? And equally obvious was Nakamura was going to come in and interfere. Too obvious. I kind of switched off on that because I knew what was going to happen. Bad cop moment. Shane put himself in King of the Ring. Good cop moment though. I like it brought in the Kevin Owens story. I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten he owed £100,000 or $100,000 it was because he got fined for something. And he's like, hey, look, if you like referee this match, then I'll kind of overlook it. I like that. I like the fact they circled back to that. Bad cop. Lots of fickle fans. Now I'm saying this because did you hear the cheering for Roman? It was huge. Everyone was loving him all the time, and we've always been big Roman fans. We've always been that. A lot of the time, particularly before he had cancer, everyone was like, "We hate Roman. Roman sucks. Roman's terrible. I'm going to stop watching because he's really popular again now." I don't think they've actually been pushing him too hard, but I think they've been writing the stories a lot better for him. And so bad cop in the fact that they're fickle, but good cop in terms of how they're writing it. Bad cop because of the profanity-laced comments before they cheered for Roman, but.
Well, does that have a coincidence with Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman
Probably.
writing it?
I'm sure. I'm sure that's a big part of it. And I think the stories have got a lot better. I heard some people last week on Twitter like, still the same episodes, nothing's the same, even though you got this. I was like, are you watching the same thing I'm watching? Or I just don't agree with anything they're saying. All right, another bad cop one. Bayley and Ember. I already saw that at SummerSlam. I didn't see what the point of it was, and she lost again. I have no idea what the purpose of that match was at all. I have one good cop moment. I love the twist. I love the fact that Shane O'Mac actually lost. I did not see that happening. You said as soon as you're like, you go, oh my gosh, Shane McMahon's on, he's obviously going to win. I thought exactly the same thing. And even more so when Chad got the first fall and they were like 2 out of 3. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's just going to make it 3 out of 5, 4 out of 7, whatever it is. So he wins. He didn't win. I was shocked. I loved it though. They really tricked me on that one. I did not see that coming, and oh my gosh, that would have been a terrible cop moment if he'd have made the final. But thankfully, I didn't have to use that as my worst cop moment, so I survived for that one. All right, open agenda. Okay, I actually kind of guided you on this one. I suggested there's something that we haven't talked about on MGB that you should probably talk about otherwise. So, what's your open agenda item?
So mine is fantasy football. So I entered my voicemail into the world of sports.
Wrestling
with sports. Oh my gosh, I got those mixed up because I remember that. And so I won with 11 other people too. And we did the first week, and I faced freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, and I won.
You did, and actually, it wasn't quite that many. There's 12 in the league, and it features Dennis Farrell, who's the main host, and the co-hosts are Dave Christ and Jason Kendall. Oof. So we got he's an MLB player for people that don't know baseball, but he's on that. That's why it's wrestling with sports and not just wrestling. So really good podcast. Definitely recommend you listen to it. And they asked for 9 people to call in, cut a promo. You cut a great promo, and you got in on it. And it's kind of cool. Fantasy sports is definitely interesting. I stopped doing it a few years ago, mainly because I hated rooting against my own team, and I had to do that this week. You had Lamar Jackson. I'm a big Dolphins fan. And I was like, I got to root for Lamar Jackson for Mason. And he crushed the Dolphins, 59-10.
Oh.
So, awful.
At least you didn't go sad that they lost because you wanted Lamar Jackson.
I wanted Lamar. I wanted you to do well on this. So, and we didn't play any of those people we talked about. But at some point, I think, I'm trying to remember, Jason Kendall's on your division. And I think Dennis and Dave Christ are on the other side. But there might be interleague play at some point, or if you make it to the playoffs, then eventually you would possibly face one of those two as well. So I think that was kind of cool. I thought it was a fair thing to put in as an open agenda because it is wrestling with sports. And I think it's something cool that you haven't done. And there's certainly some good tactics to think about. You learned a lot. Your draft, you were all stressed the day of the draft. You were like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I'll take over. You're like, no, I'll do it. You were really worried about it. But it is fun. It is fun, but it is stressful at the same time.
Yeah. So you said that they made the best drafts in the league. They made a list for that.
They rate you. Normally you get a ranking. Like some years they'll say A+, A-, B+, whatever, and you can see how good they think your ranking is compared to everybody else. And they said that you actually had the best ranking. Now, of course, it depends because people like Dave Christ picked a lot of Cleveland Browns players. He doesn't care if he gets the top draft. He wants Cleveland Browns players. And if you have your own favorite, then same thing. Now, we probably hurt our draft because we actually drafted Lamar Jackson higher than he should have gone. Quite a bit higher than he should have gone. But we thought that this could be a serious pick. I actually posted on the chat line, this could be a serious disruptor. And it was. Lamar Jackson had a fantastic week. I think I read 5 touchdowns in 9 throws. I didn't even realize that. I knew it was all pretty quick. So that was kind of our way out there pick. If you just pick the top most available each time, it's just kind of a lottery. You're not really doing anything. You got to try and find those players. Who do you think is going to be slightly better than somebody else? And we did that on a few picks. We actually picked a kicker a little earlier than we were supposed to, and he turned out to be the 3rd best kicker in the league last week. So we made a pretty good choice there as well. So it kind of evens out a little bit. All right, my open agenda is, I guess, about this weekend. So we're hopefully going to be going to EWA Maryland on Friday. I also saw on Twitter that Warhorse is going to be facing Nick Gage. I was like, ooh, that's a match I want to see. So I was like, oh, please tell me that's on Power Slam TV or on Independent Wrestling TV. Nope, it's on St. Louis Anarchy's own streaming service. So my open agenda is, wow, I can't afford any more streaming services. Wrestling's suddenly become very expensive. We want to go to events. We also want to watch different events. We already have Independent Wrestling TV. We have the network. I also have Impact Wrestling right now. I do not want to subscribe to a 4th wrestling one. I don't even know how much it is. Power Slam we get as part of the sponsorship deal. I don't know. They said you get it free for 20 days, but I want to see Nick Gage versus Warhorse. There's a lot of independent wrestling. I thought the whole point of the other 2 subscriptions was that you get to see everything that you want. Now, I know there's other ones as well, because you've already talked about, hey, I want to watch Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and you want to see H2O Wrestling, and all of these people have their own streaming services. It's just getting really tough to do. Now, I also saw another match I'd like to see, and you probably would as well. Nick Gage versus Killer Cross. That's going to be pretty brutal as well. That's the one you've been asking to see, GCW, which is also as their own streaming service. So, I don't know. There's a lot of wrestling that I would like to see, and I can't physically see it right now. So, I could have easily been my worst cop moment, but there is some good wrestling out there this weekend. I'm going to take some satisfaction, though, in knowing that Zachary Shiloh is actually going to be watching Nick Gage versus Killer Cross. I'm not sure if it's in person, or if it's going to be on, I think it's Fight TV, I think is where you get it from. But yes, there's certainly some good matches, and I can't see them all. And I don't like that right now, but there's nothing I can actually do about that. Alright, we're going to cut right to the chase, Mason. We're going to get right to the finish. So go ahead. Tell me what your worst cop moment was for the week, then.
So my worst cop moment was after Luke Gallows. He didn't even do anything. He just walked to the ring, and he just talked a bunch of trash and got punched 2 times. Half of his face paint came off in his promo.
I don't like the other guy's face paint right now. It just makes me want to laugh. It just looks funny. I can't remember what his name is. Anderson? Oh, no, it is Gallows, isn't it? I'm sorry, you're right, Gallows. It just looks funny to me. It's supposed to be scary or something. I just laugh every time I see it. It looks crazy to me. Alright, my worst cop moment, I deliberately avoided it. Baron Corbin. I don't want to see him in the final of King of the Ring. If that would have been him versus Shane, who would you have rooted for? I'm like, oh my gosh. I would have been turning off the TV at that point. I don't care. I am hoping Chad Gable can win, otherwise that's pretty much guaranteed to be my worst cop moment going forward. I don't like Baron Corbin. I don't like him. I don't like to see him on TV. I don't like to see Shane on TV. At least they booked Shane right this week. But yeah, Baron, I was like, oh, for goodness sake. It was even a triple threat, and they still let him win that as well. I would have been happy with anybody except for Baron Corbin. All right, we like to finish off though on positives though. So what was your best cop moment of the week?
So somebody threw from the outside end of the ring, threw 2 beer bottles to Stone Cold, and he caught him in one hand.
He's pretty good. Like when you see Odell Beckham do those catches one-handed, he's good. That's why they have to bring him in. No one else can do a catch like that.
It's like Shaq O'Neal, who can palm the basketball, and I tried that and I just can't do it.
Oh, it takes some doing. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Now, my best cop moment actually comes from something you weren't at, Mason, and we didn't really talk about it. You had a party to go to this weekend, so I just took Jackson to Classic Pro Wrestling, which I'm going to try and get a review out of Jackson, but bad cop moment, he hasn't been home before 6:30 any day this week, and then he's got to eat, shower, and we just haven't had a chance to record. I hope he can remember. There was 2 things that I really enjoyed, and they're kind of related. After the intermission, some heels came out to Kurt Angle's music. And of course, when Kurt Angle's music comes on, everyone says,
"You suck."
Of course, we got to do that. It was great. Now, I've done it before in the big arena, but it's not quite the same. Being in a small arena when everyone's close, and suddenly everyone decided to do it. Not that Angle was there. Everyone decided to go, "You suck." The heels were like, yeah, we're not coming out to that. We're not having that level of respect. We're going to go back inside. We're going to go back. We're going to go to the back, and then we're going to come out, and you're going to cheer for us this time. So they did. They played the music, and of course,
"You suck."
Absolutely. We did the "You suck" for a sec. So not only did we get to do it once, we got to do it twice. Also, and I can't remember whose promo it was, and it might have been the same guys. Once he started speaking, this was relating to Stone Cold this weekend. What? And he carried on talking. What? So we got to do a couple of classic things from early 2000s. It was so much fun to do. We had a great time there. Hopefully Jackson can remember some of this, and we can review that, and that'll be out on the Visionaries Wrestling Network as well. I think that's it, right? Boom. Done.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye to me.
And it's goodbye from them.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/